One, two, three, four. What up, y'all? Babylon 5 Podcast, episode 27. It's your boy Jermaine Event. How are you guys doing? How's your week been? Mine's pretty cool. Feeling pretty good. No complaints here. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the social medias. If you want to go ahead and follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. If you want to follow my personal account on Instagram and Twitter, it's at my name's Jermaine. I guess I don't really do too much posting on my Instagram, my personal page. And I guess now, at this point, I do most of my tweeting from my Babylon 5 Twitter account. So maybe follow the Babylon 5 account. I don't know. I switch back and forth randomly if I feel like it makes sense. If you want, you can email the podcast at babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can listen to the podcast. If you guys are listening right now, you should follow the pod. Go to Podbean and follow this podcast. Follow the podcast at babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to the podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, pretty much anywhere that podcasts stream. Tune in. Just check it out. Just search for Babylon 5. If you guys, I changed the link. If you guys want to check out the merch, it's teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. Yeah, that's it. A little simplified for you. Shout out to the wife for that great idea. It's like, why do I have to work harder? Why do I have to make things harder on myself? Yeah, and eventually, I'm going to play some games with you guys. Maybe I'll try it at some point today. I need to clean the bathroom. But maybe I'll try it at some point today. Yeah, but eventually, when I play some games on Twitch, maybe I'll do it today. It's twitch.tv/Babylon5. Hopefully I can play some games with you guys pretty soon here. If I get off that bullshit, I can play some games with you. Right now I'm in the background. I mean, if you know me, you know. If you've been around for the recording process at my old house on the old podcast that I used to be on, I would play things in the background, just like random things from time to time. Like it would be like Loiter Squad or just like skits from the Eric Andre show playing in the background, so that like me and the other host and whoever was the guest could, possibly we get like live reactions from whatever's happening on screen. It's like it doesn't necessarily have to have anything to do with what we're talking about, but sometimes it does. Most times it doesn't. Most of the time I just put something random. Though most of the time when I record this podcast, I usually have Dragon Ball, some kind of Dragon Ball playing in the background. And right now I have Dragon Ball Resurrection of F playing, or Resurrection F, whatever it's saying. Whatever it's called. It's when they bring Frieza back. This is the second movie, right? So the first movie for the comeback of Dragon Ball Super was Battle of the Gods, and then you had Resurrection F. And I put that on because I'm going to talk about Dragon Ball Super's manga. Manga number 57 just came out. And if you guys haven't been keeping up, if you don't want to know about what's going on, spoiler alert here. Maybe skip ahead a little bit to when I'm not talking about Moro and Dragon Ball Super, if you care about not being spoiled. But spoiler alert for this Dragon Ball Super manga. So Moro, obviously an evil wizard, a super powerful evil wizard that was once trapped in the Galactic Patrol's prison. Over time, he's like immortal, and over time, all the power that had been stripped away from him had slowly, regained power, and with that, once his power got to a certain level, he was effortlessly able to break out and go get the Dragon Balls and get his power back, most of his youth back for the most part. Yeah. So Moro's swallows planets, that he eats the energy of the planet, kills everybody off on the planet, just travels the galaxy looking for planets with strong life forces on it, and then he has the ability, you don't even know it's happening, and like all of a sudden you just faint or something because he's been draining all your life force. He's super crazy powerful. And so leading up to episode 50 or issue 57, you've had Moro and his henchmen came to the planet Earth. They discovered all the powerful beings there, and it was also just like discovered that this is the same planet where Vegeta and Goku are from, who Moro had a run-in with when he was on planet Namek to get the Dragon Balls, as I mentioned before. And so Moro's like, fuck it, we going to Earth. If they got away from me before, but if we know where they're from and we head to their planet, tell them we'll be there in 3 months. That's the typical Dragon Ball thing. If you know, it's like, oh, Goku, the Saiyans are coming. They'll be here in about 3 months. So prepare. And then it's like just sequence of them training, like, and getting new abilities. This is like usually what happens before the Z Warriors take that next step, is they're like, some super fucking powerful new villain is gonna be there in this amount of time. Like, get ready. With Cell, that's when they introduced the hyperbolic time chamber, where you could train for 1 day and it would give you the effects of training for a year. It would be, well, you would age a year. That's the effects of that room, is 1 day passes like 1 year. So they go in there and train for 1 day and become like insanely stronger, depending on how hard they trained. So Moro, finding out, he sent his henchmen around to find. Okay, so Moro, one of his wishes was to free all the villains, all the bad guys in the prison, in the Galactic Patrol, and now they're his army, and they patrol the universe, all the galaxies, looking for powerful planets to send Moro to eat all the energy there and become even more powerful. So, and that's how they ultimately find Earth. And Moro just happens to show up to Earth with his gang. 3 months have passed. Moro is on Earth. And one of the things I thought was interesting right away was this nigga can transfer his ki to other motherfuckers there. And I thought that was really interesting. But then some things that I've looked up since I saw that was explaining that Goku did that to Frieza on planet Namek, right? When Frieza was dying on the planet and the planet was going to explode, Goku gave him energy, like just a little bit of energy. And he was like, yo, that's just enough for you to like get up and get out of here. Like, he was like, just like, it's over. This fight's over. Here's some energy. You go your way, I go my way. You know what I'm saying? And so Goku did that. So I was reminded that this wasn't the first time that a character in Dragon Ball has transferred energy to another character, but like it's probably one of the first times where a villain of this magnitude who steals the life force of planets and he's just going around the galaxy eating planets, and then he can just transfer that energy to whoever he decides. Like, that's a whole nother level. So Moro's there. All the Z Warriors are fighting his army that is around the Earth to steal all the Earth's treasures before Moro devours the planet. And they're fighting them off, but eventually, as usual, the army's getting the best of the Z fighters, and Goku, who is on a spaceship trying to navigate, he's just not the smartest guy. He's trying to navigate through space and figure out how to get to Earth, because of the angel, or the guy that he was training with. It turned out to be an angel in training, and he wasn't allowed to fight Goku, and the angel got in trouble. So they like left. Like the Archangel came and took that angel. Yeah, it's a lot. And the Archangel came and took the angel that was training with Goku and left him there with a spaceship. But Goku, being the Neanderthal that he is, wasn't really able to figure out how to traverse space and get back to his planet. But at this point, as the Z Fighters are in trouble, Krillin like flies to the top of a mountain and like raises his power level so that Goku can sense him, and Goku uses his instant transmission and shows up on the battlefield, saves Krillin and Master Roshi, that pervert ass nigga. Master Roshi's weird. He's just a creepy ass nigga. I mean, maybe shit is just different in Japan, but I don't understand that character. Maybe when I was younger, I didn't quite understand how much of a creep he was. Like, I didn't understand, like, because, you know, like, in cartoons, it's like certain characters will talk, and they're just talking to themselves. Like, other characters can't hear that dialogue. I thought it was a similar situation to that, but it's not. And Master Roshi's fucking creepy. So Goku shows up. Goku shows up to the battlefield, and he saves Krillin and Master Roshi. Moro has shown up to the battlefield. He's facing off against Android 17, Android 18, Gohan, Piccolo, possibly Tien, and Chaozu. Yeah. So Moro's facing off against them. He gave this other nigga that was like his top general a shit ton of energy. That's the guy that they're fighting, and he's beating the shit out of everybody. He's beating the shit out of Gohan, Android 17, and Goku just showed up. This shit is important, my nigga. All right? Goku, he seemingly, like, he just trained with an angel in training, from what I was just telling you guys, in the ways to try to figure out how to tap into Ultra Instinct, because he feels like that's the only way he could possibly beat Moro, seeing as Moro can just drain their energy. Like, it doesn't matter how strong they raise their power level, because at that point, they're just feeding Moro. Moro can drain their energy without moving. It's just one of his abilities where he can just start to drain energy. And so they're trying to figure out ways to fight without having to raise their power level. And Goku shows up to the battle first. All right? Goku could not find Earth. He couldn't figure out. The Z Fighters were in trouble, and he's like catching glimpses of, like, oh shit, I can feel that they're in trouble, but I can't really pinpoint where it is. And Krillin had to raise his power level, and then he was able to use instant transmission. So Vegeta, who was training on the planet with the Yard Rats, who are the people who taught Goku the instant transmission, when Moro showed up to the planet maybe an episode or two back, it cut to Vegeta over on the planet training with the Yard Rats, and someone said, "Oh my God, we're getting word that Moro has just landed on planet Earth, like his army's there." And they're like, "Vegeta, shouldn't you get going?" And he was like, "No." Like, he said, yeah. Vegeta said, "No, there's no need. Moro is still in his spaceship. And plus, we haven't finished our training yet, so it'll be useless if I don't finish this training, then we cannot beat Moro." So Vegeta, all the way on this planet, training with the Yard Rats, was able to sense that Moro hadn't left his spaceship yet. All right? Some goons came to attack Vegeta. Well, they came to attack this planet, and Vegeta fucking destroyed these people effortlessly without even realizing how strong he was with the training. He didn't realize, like, because his training isn't to raise his power level, it's to shape it, to control it more, to just have better control of his ki, which is what the angels have been telling him is what he needs to that's what they've been telling him and Goku they need to do in order to reach the level of the gods, in order to reach like the level of Beerus. If you're familiar, hopefully you guys are familiar with the series. If they want to reach the level of a god, then they need to train on controlling their ki, which is exactly what Vegeta's doing. Vegeta could sense that Moro hadn't left his spaceship yet from all the way on the planet so far away, and Goku has shown up to the battle. And I'm watching Resurrection F because in Resurrection F, they really made it seem like, for me, a Vegeta stan, they made it seem like they were giving us one early. They were back with the new series. They saw how big Vegeta had the impact he had on the world. Like, more people love Vegeta than Goku. And they really made it seem like Vegeta was going to kill Frieza in Resurrection F. And then fucking Frieza fucking destroys everybody, kills himself, kills the whole planet, and then they have to rewind it, and then what did Goku like fly in and kill Frieza before he could destroy everybody? So they did that. And if you know anything about Dragon Ball, usually, in most cases, the warrior that shows up last to the battle is going to be the most badass out of that saga. All right? Whoever shows up last to the battle is going to be the most badass in that battle. And let's say, so who's the last person to show up to fight Cell? Or show up, I mean, just the last person to fight Cell. It was Gohan, Teen Gohan, the most badass character of that series. Niggas is still salty about Gohan. They're salty about Gohan in this episode because Gohan said to Moro, like, yo, I'm just waiting on my dad and Vegeta to show up. Niggas was like, oh, why they trying to make Gohan look like a bitch? Nigga, you knew Gohan was a bitch for a long time. Quit acting like this is new. Quit acting like we didn't see the fucking Boo Saga. Quit acting like we didn't see Deborah whoop this nigga ass. Quit acting like quit acting like this nigga didn't raise his energy level to ultimate level where he didn't need to go Super Saiyan. He was one of the first niggas to raise his normal state levels to the where it was like, yo, going to Super Saiyan is unnecessary. That's where he was. He was the first person to do that, and then he still lost the battle just for being foolish. He just still lost that battle, and then was after that was like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna train. Yeah, I know I had like 2 chances to really like save the world there, and I just decided not to train each time, and I'm just not gonna train. So Gohan's been a bitch, all right? It's been established that Gohan was a bitch, and Gohan's gonna be a bitch in here. But Gohan says, please wait, I'm just waiting on my dad and Vegeta to get here. All right? Goku showed up, ladies and gentlemen. Goku's on the earth with with Moro and I was gonna say Lord Beerus. He's on Earth with Moro, and so he's most likely gonna do battle with Moro pretty soon here. We're gonna see his new abilities. Maybe he can reach Ultra Instinct. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, Vegeta has not shown up to the battle yet. So, as a Vegeta stan, as a young man with Vegeta tattooed on my arm, I'm pretty excited that Vegeta's going to save the day here for the first time. All right? Us Vegeta stans are going to get a bone. They're going to give us a bone. Give a dog a bone. Leave a dog alone. Let a dog roam and he'll find his way home. My home is the I don't know. I used to be a DMX stan, and now I'm a Vegeta stan. No, we about to get one, ladies and gentlemen. We about to get one. Goku showed up to the battle first. Maybe this is another swerve, because Goku fought Frieza first, and almost died. Then Vegeta came in, was about to destroy him, and then Frieza was like, well, fuck this shit. I'm gonna kill everybody. Like, well, he did that before. That's what that nigga's known for. He's known to be like, fuck this, I'm gonna kill everybody, including myself. Like, if I'm not gonna win, everybody gonna die. That's what that nigga's known for. So he did that in this battle, Resurrection F. And then with the niggas traversing time, with the angels reversing time, they went back and allowed Goku to kill Frieza before he murdered everybody else. And so this could be another swerve. But I got my hopes up. I'm hoping that this is the one. All right? I'm hoping this is the one. Moro just looks like a badass fucking villain. I don't know what you guys want out of a villain, but he's like, as he gets more powerful, he becomes more younger, more menacing. Like, he looks more capable because when he was first introduced, he was like this old man wizard who wasn't that strong. They were like, he's a powerful wizard, but his like power level isn't that strong yet. Or it wasn't that strong when he was introduced. It was no yet to it. It's just like he's a really old man. He's He's immortal, but he's like super fucking old. So that's why when he went to Namek, he needed to wish to be young again, because he was very powerful wizard, but just super fucking old. And as he absorbs more energy, eats more planets, he becomes more like menacing and more capable. He looks more capable. I think he's a pretty amazing villain for the series, and hopefully my boy Vegeta shows up with some amazing abilities and just really takes this. I really hope so. Let's get on into shout out for the Vegeta stands. Let's get on to UFC Auckland. UFC Auckland. Just want to throw a quick shout out to Angela Hill. She was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I really like when he has fighters on there, and I can get to know them a little bit and make my opinion of if they're douchebags or not. Let me listen to them, and it's kind of the point of this podcast. Maybe I'm a douchebag, but just give me a chance. Decide that. So what was it? Yeah. So yeah, Auckland. So I was listening to Angela Hill, and I was like, yo, she's fucking dope. Her sense of humor is pretty similar to mine. So at that point, I'm like, I'm just going to cheer for her. And as they're talking, they're like, she's the female cowboy. She's had 6 fights in a year. Like, she's like, I think she has like the record for like most fights in a year. She's just the Iron Lady. They're calling her the GOAT now. And I'm just like new to the game. I'm like, I'm finally going to cheer for her. She's a pretty dope person. And she goes out there and she put on a show and she won the fight. So shout out to her. It was like a few days' notice or like a week's notice. Or maybe it was a 2 weeks' notice, but whatever. It was like short notice, super short notice. That's why they're calling her the GOAT, because she just 6 fights. She just shows up. Short notice, she'll be the person to show up and take that fight. And she's winning. She's pretty nice. So shout out to her. She was on that card. Shout out to Crute. I think his name is Jimmy Crute. Pretty, I think he's 205er. Young dude. Pretty good jiu-jitsu. Pretty good stand-up. He got a submission victory. Shout out to him. Before this card, they were asking like if Paul Felder fought Conor McGregor, would he still dress the way he's dressing, like all spiffy or whatever, and call himself the Irish Dragon? And Felder commented like, "Why the fuck wouldn't I?" And then Conor responded to that comment with, "Felder is a German English name." He's like, so like, get that fake shit out of here. He's like, get that fake shit out of here, you ginger, or some shit like that. I don't know, something like that. I should have had a quote, but yeah. So I was like, I'm curious, like, if that'll be the most exciting part of the fight or the weekend, because I mean, I'm not saying I was expecting, if nothing goes wrong, that these two gentlemen wouldn't put on a war. I'm not saying that. but we saw Jeremy Stevens and Yair end in a few seconds just because of freak eye poke. That could have happened. So I was just like curious. I was like, let me take note of that. Like, will that be the most exciting thing about this fight? And sure enough, it was not, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Felder and Dan Hooker went to war at first glance. All right, they still went to war. All right, I watched it again earlier. So I'm looking at my notes here. So it was like, I was just saying, like, so after 5 rounds, I said that I scored it for Felder. When I watched it live, I thought 3 rounds. I thought I scored the first 2 rounds for Dan Hooker, and the last 3 for Felder. I felt like Felder was really coming on strong in those last 3 rounds. Is what I felt like when I watched it live. All right, and so I was like. So, and even like when I'm watching the reaction of like, I go on Twitter and I'm looking at the reaction of fighters and all that, and a lot of like Khabib said he had that fight scored for Felder. Like a lot of people said they had that fight scored for Felder. So I was like, let me just like watch it again. All right, let me watch it a second time because maybe because when I watched the Dominic Cruz John Jones fight for a second time, I'm like, dude, Jones, in my opinion, clearly won 4 of these rounds. He clearly, in my opinion, won 4 of those rounds. And I'm like, maybe Dan Hooker won more of these rounds than I actually thought. Maybe if I could like look at it and just like, because after fight after fight after fight, White Claw after White Claw, maybe you feeling some type of way about what you're looking at and you're in a mindset. But like, so I got hindsight. I know like who wins, and I just want to like score the rounds. I'm just looking at like, I'm just trying to honestly score the rounds. So I'm like, let me watch it again. And so Dan Hooker, the fight starts, Dan Hooker refuses to touch gloves. I'm like, whatever. Like, it is what it is. Hooker starts like chopping at Felder's legs early, but Felder like in the round 1 rocks this man with a hook. I think it was a right hook, might have been a left, whatever. He rocks him with a hook. Felder is like really putting it on him with the boxing, and I'm watching this and I give the first round to Paul Felder. All right, I give the first round to Paul Felder. When I watched it live, and I was even seeing it here, like there's certain moments where Felder, like, I think he went for a kick or a punch and he like slipped and his leg looked weird and it kind of looked weird the way he slipped. And in the sequence, it kind of looked like maybe he took some damage, but it was like, there's just moments where it looked worse. Like while I was watching it live and as I'm watching it back, I'm like, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And so yeah, I gave that first round to Felder, even though Dan Hooker, like toward the end of that round, was really starting to catch Felder with the jab. All right, and so because of that, to start the second round, Paul Felder's eyes started to swell shut, and they're saying just because like he's like super pale, he's a ginger, he bruises pretty easily. So his wear and tear, like in a fight, it looks a lot worse for him than it would for like other people just because he's so pale, is what they're saying. But his eye is starting to swell shut. These guys are fucking going at it, all right, in this second round. As I was watching it just like recently before I record, maybe a couple hours ago, I watched it again, and they're going at it in this second round, like really trading, and Hooker's like aiming at that eye, trying to swell it shut a little more, and Felder's coming back, landing some great boxing, and they're going back and forth for the second round. But I'd say by the end of the second round, Felder really starts to find his groove in there. All right, but I gave that round as a draw, a 9-9. So at this point, I have it 19-18 for Felder. Felder's up 1. Going into the third, Felder is really hurting Hooker. He's hurting him with the boxing. He's like hitting him with leg kicks and like making like Hooker stop in his tracks, similar to what I was saying when I saw him fight Barbosa here in Milwaukee. Like, he's really getting stopped by these jabs, by these hooks. Felder is really putting it on him in the third. And but then like as the round goes, like Hooker's jab, he just starts coming back with the jab. So like he took a lot of punishment early on in the third, but then as the round starts to like close out, he's really like hurting Felder with his jab. And I would say that third round was honestly another draw for those guys. So even with that, Felder would still be up one round here. So going in between rounds, like Duke Rufus is talking to Paul Felder. He's like, think about your daughter. Think about why you're doing this, man. Like, you got to like go out there and like you came here to get a win for your daughter, man. Think about that. We got to do this. Felder comes in. He starts that round on fire. Just lighting this. He's lighting Hooker up with the stand-up. Wobbles this man. Like, and like he hits him with a hook, and like I'm pretty sure he breaks Hooker's jaw. I'm very certain his jaw swells up so big, like at this point. Like, he rocked him so hard with this. And Felder stuffs one of Hooker's takedown attempts like late in the fourth. He stuffs it. Working him with the stand-up. I would say that Paul Felder clearly dominated the fourth round. So here we are going into the fifth round, and I'm looking at this like before, like I'm watching it, and we're about to go into the fifth, and I'm like, whoa, here, hold on. We're going into the fifth. I got Felder winning the first. I got draw for the second and the third, and Felder clearly dominating the fourth. All right. Dan Hooker was fighting at home. He was fighting in Auckland, New Zealand. Let's just throw that out here. Fifth round comes. Felder continues to light up Hooker. And he's just destroying him for 4 minutes straight on the stand-up. And like, just like out of survival, he shoots when this man is about to get knocked out. Like, Felder was about to knock this man's fucking lights out, and Hooker shoots, takes him down, and basically just holds on to him for the last minute of the fight. And the judges give the fucking fight to Dan Hooker. And I say, even with the takedown in the last round, if you look at everything that happened in the 4 minutes prior to that last minute of that round, clearly Paul Felder dominated him. Even with that, even with the takedown, he got completely dominated in there, and that was a survival tactic. I think it was some home cooking, but it is what it is. This is people's lives. This is what I'm saying. Like, you could be ruining people's lives. Paul Felder says this is most likely his last fight. He says, he's got a daughter at home that he has to leave every time he goes to train for one of these things. Every time he comes out to New Zealand to fight, he's leaving his daughter. He doesn't want to do that anymore. And he just like lost probably the biggest fight. Yeah, that was the biggest fight of his career so far. But like, he lost on the judges somehow. But one judge like scored it for him. And I think I took a picture of the punch count. Yeah, so significant strikes. Paul Felder had 133 significant strikes to Dan Hooker's 119. For significant head strikes, Paul Felder had 84 to Dan Hooker's 75. Significant body strikes, Paul Felder had 21 significant body strikes to Dan Hooker's 8. And then Paul Felder had 28 significant leg strikes to Dan Hooker's 36. But as I was saying, Dan Hooker was lighting up the legs like early on to go. And as the fight went, Felder really started putting him on and mixing it up to the body, to the legs. He's like, I feel like Felder really should have won that fight. Clearly, I feel like it should have been a unanimous decision for Paul Felder. But now he's talking about retirement, and that's the shit I don't like. That's the things we have to try to fix. I don't know what the solution is. I was looking at videos. People were like, "Oh, we could do this and then have one commission, and then you just can't have UFC and the commissions that don't." And it's like, nah, man, it's super difficult. I don't know if there's any quick fix to it. There is no quick fix, because as it is, it's like you got to convince every 50 states to agree on one set of rules. And if you want to change one, if you want to add a rule, change a rule, then you have to get every 50 state commission to agree on that change within that state, or it doesn't go. So it's just, there's no quick fixes. There's no quick fix. But this is some bullshit, and now Felder's talking about retiring. I see with every fight here just like how much of a warrior he is. I would love for Felder to stay, man. Like, when you look at those rankings, like it says he's 6 and he's and then Hooker's 7. But like, who is in the rankings? I think it's like Conor McGregor or something. I think whoever's above them, I forget, I was looking at it and I'm like, dude, you could take that guy out of there, because he's not really a part of this. And this is really the 5 and the 6 guy fighting it. Like Paul Felder should be a top 5. Or maybe I'm mistaken, because I know that I was saying that about the John Jones fight, because they got Cormier over there. And I did recently hear, though, that Cormier was talking about he might actually fight at light heavyweight, is what I heard, depending on how long it takes with the Stipe thing. But he was saying he was actually considering coming back and fighting at light heavyweight. So at first I was like, why the fuck is he there? He's just like keeping up a spot on the division, but he's actually considering fighting. Yeah, I don't agree with the decision there. And I hope that Paul Felder sticks around and gives it one more fight at least to decide. I think he has a lot left in this game. He showed the world a lot in that fight. It was pretty great. So after that fight, later in the night, we had Deontay Wilder taking on Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King. I don't know if Deontay Wilder has a nickname. Oh yeah, the Bronze Bomber is Deontay Wilder. The Bronze Bomber versus the Gypsy King. Number 2. All right? Number 2. I didn't know this, but as they're talking, Fury, apparently, like, as the fight is starting, they're saying Fury claims that he will knock Wilder out in the second round. All right? When I watched the first fight and people talk about, like, oh, he knocked him down, the ref was slow, blah, 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 regardless of that fact, when he got up, he took it to Wilder. And I thought he was going to knock Wilder out in that 12th round. And had he had more time, he clearly like won that 12th round and was putting it on Deontay Wilder. And I was at that point, I was telling people like, yo, Deontay Wilder, I said Tyson Fury is clearly the best fighter in the world. People were like, yo, he can't even hang with Deontay Wilder and blah, 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 blah. And they're saying all this nonsense. And I'm like, did anybody see that 12th round? Did they see what happened when he got up? He mauled this man when he got up in the 12th round. And from bell to bell, ladies and gentlemen, fight number 2, the bell rings in round 1. Tyson Fury runs over to Deontay Wilder and just starts putting it on him. Bell to bell. It's like nobody really attacks Wilder in the way that he did because they're so afraid of just getting hit. Fury went in there and was just like backing him up and just like throwing, like feinting. And like when he would feint, and like he would feint as if he was going to throw a jab, and he would see that Wilder was just like dropping his hands and leaning back, which is a no-no. That's similar to James Vick in UFC. That's like one of his big issues is when he's fighting and he should be like intelligently defending, he just leans back, and he's been knocked out quite a few times. And Deontay's one guy where you could see him take a punch, but like usually people are like trying to counter punch him. He's not really backing up. But from bell to bell, Tyson Fury ran out there and was like, had him on his back foot, and he didn't have proper foot movement. See, I've been saying for years, Deontay Wilder, he has no skill. He has no skill out there. Never mind how you feel about him hitting that one punch. I'm like, he doesn't know how to box. He's just there hoping, like, swing. He's just throwing that one hand hoping it lands. He doesn't know how to box. Like, he just, and it's like, he had a good chin, apparently. It looked pretty good against a lot of the people. He was undefeated. He knocked out, like, most of the people because he could catch them. But when you watch those fights, he's taking a beating throughout those rounds, and then they tire out, and he knocks them out. Like, it's so fucking... I was like, he doesn't have any skill. And then here we are, round 1, getting dominated. Round 2, getting dominated. All right? What is it? So he claimed he would knock him out in the second. He didn't knock him out in the second, but he's rocking him. He rocked him once in the first round, like hits him in like with jabs, and like it really like stops Wilder in his tracks. He like falls back a little bit in the first 2 rounds. Fury knocks Wilder down in the third, hits him with a hook, and it hits him directly in his ear. And from what I've been seeing today, they were saying at the night that they thought it was like a ruptured eardrum, but from what I've read, it's just like he had a cut in the ear, but which is still affecting his equilibrium. He's bleeding throughout the ear for the rest of that fight, and he just like is off balance for the rest of the fight, and is moving odd. Because I was saying to my wife, like last night, I was like, it's so weird. It was looking like wind could end this fight right now, the way he's moving. Like from that point on, like just when Fury would swing at him, even if like Fury didn't land too much, it was looking like it was really fucking Wilder up. Like he was just getting blown away by these punches, and it was because it was fucking with his equilibrium from that shot to the ear. He got hit, and then he like was on the ground and was looking up to the ref like, what happened? Like, he got fucking rocked right away. And, yeah. So that was the third. And so, yeah, that was like in the middle of the third. And then Wilder is, he's just about to get knocked out. He gets back up. He's about to get knocked out. And, like, Wilder, like, lunges forward and, like, tackles Fury. And the ref is just like, oh, no, it was a trip. He slipped. And, like, didn't count. Like, they were doing everything they could to keep Wilder in this fight. He was like, oh, no, it was a trip. This is the end of the third. And then, like, they went to the fourth. And, Wilder's just getting beat on again. Just getting destroyed throughout the fourth. Fifth round comes. Fury gets another knockdown in the fifth. And Wilder looks completely exhausted. He looks exhausted at this point. Like, he has no gas. He's just been backing up the whole fight, getting beat up in the body, getting hit with these jabs. He's getting dominated. Completely dominated. My boy Bayless, he deducts a point from Fury for a late hit off of a break, but, like, it didn't really matter at this point because he was fucking dominating this, man. But just looking at the Bayless, the way Bayless, like, looked at that tackle and was like, oh, no, he tripped. It's like, no, he was being destroyed, and he fucking lunged at Tyson Fury because he was being destroyed, and it was like natural instinct to protect himself and tackle. He tackled Fury. And Kenny Bayless, referee, was like, oh, no, trip. And then on a break, like, you know, the ref, when they clinch up, ref comes in, stop, and Wilder Fury caught Wilder with maybe like 1 or 2 punches late off after he said no, stop, which happens all the time. But Bayless, for whatever reason, took a point from Fury. It's whatever. And then that round comes to an end. The commentators are using the word ragdoll at this point. That's the phrase they're using to describe what's happening in this fight. It's the 6th round, and they're using the phrase ragdoll. They're also describing how Wilder's corner aren't really giving him any kind of advice. They're just saying, like, hey, man, move forward. Like, you still got it. But they weren't really giving him any advice. It seems like they're pointing out how they clearly were not prepared for this fight in any way. Like the commentary, they're like, yo, they're not treating any of the things like his blading and injuries. Like they're not using they're not treating the swelling on like his jaw and like all kinds. They're just pointing out how the corner is just like pretty baffled by just watching Deontay Wilder, their cash cow, get fucking manhandled bell to bell. And I thought the ref just stopped the fight in the 7th. Wilder's in the corner of the ring just taking a beating and just getting teed off on by Tyson Fury. But apparently Wilder's corner threw in the towel in the 7th. And your new WBC heavyweight champion is the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury. As I said last week, I predicted that he would box that Dawson's face off, and he did. He beat his ass. He did. It looked exactly like the 12th round. If you guys go look back at Tyson in the after he gets up in the 12th round in the first fight, and then watch him, and then you're like, holy shit. No, well, he had more skill. He had more skills. He was way more offensive, throwing all kinds of combinations in this fight, but he tuck it to him from the start till the corner had to throw in the towel. My boy Tyson Fury fucking tuck it to him. My cousin was saying like, oh, you must not want to be black. You out here rooting for the white guy. It's like, I don't understand. I honestly don't understand that mindset at all, because I'm a fan of good boxing. All right. I'm not just going to root blindly for a black person. Like, if it's two black people, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it's two black people fighting each other, like, and we're both fans of boxing, we're both going to say we think the better boxer is going to win that fight. But because Tyson Fury is white and we're both watching boxing, and I say I think the better fighter is going to win here, suddenly I'm anti-black? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me how I could somehow be anti-black. I've been rocking with Floyd Mayweather regardless of how people feel about him. You know what I'm saying? So I just thought that was pretty ridiculous. But I'm watching these fights, and I was trying to score it as it was going live. I was giving some 10-8s to Fury. Fury went out there like I said he was going to do, and he dominated that boy. He ain't got no skill. And he was saying how, like, skills don't pay the bills because, like, all he does is try to catch you. And that was all she wrote for that nigga. And I saw Luke Thomas tweet that a friend of his once tore their eardrum or ruptured their eardrum, which I don't think is the case here, but he was saying they ruptured their eardrum, or it might be the case, so that's why I'm saying this. And they said they still get motion sickness when they're near like the ocean, and it's like years later and they still get motion sickness. So it's saying like this is like going to be something that Wilder is going to have to deal with for like years going on. It's going to be a long journey if we want to see a Wilder Fury 3. But I don't think that's fight going to be any different. You're going to have to like teach this nigga how to box. The fundamentals. Teach him how to jab properly. Teach this nigga some defense. He doesn't know how to box. He doesn't know how to box out there. It's very obvious, okay? He doesn't know how to box. That's just it. I'm not trying to hate on this nigga. He just don't know how to box. And we all saw what happened. I've been trying to tell you niggas. Tyson Fury was the best boxer in the world. Definitely best active heavyweight, clearly. You think he gonna lose? You think he would lose to Ruiz? You think he's gonna lose to Anthony Joshua? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Try to tell you niggas. But you niggas ain't want to listen. But now here it is, Gypsy King. He's gonna come in here. If Joshua don't run, he gonna take Joshua belt too. And I think it might be over for Deontay. Wasn't that nigga talking about doing some UFC? Or he was talking about just fighting in a cage or some shit? Maybe that was the Gypsy King. But maybe he need to do something else because he going to have to learn how to box from the fundamentals. He's going to have to go back to the fundamentals. He's going to have to learn how to box. I'm not saying he can't be successful at learning how to box this far in his career. But if anybody got the time, money, and resources to learn how to box at this point in his career, it could be him. So who knows? Maybe he'll take the time to learn how to box, and we'll see. We'll get a third fight. If not, if he just comes back quick, feels like, oh, that was a fluke, then I don't even know if I'd watch that fight. I wouldn't be interested in watching that beating again, because that's all it would be. It wouldn't be any different. The other day, I went to Silver City Studios to record the last of the vocals for my project. I'm not going to talk about the name of it. Changed it again. I'll be coming up with these names, then I'll be feeling them. I'll be feeling these shit. But this name right here, nigga, it's me. It's not too try-hardish at all. It's just, it's a fact of who I am. And it's like, it's almost something that I was trying to like go against. Like it was a way that I felt like people perceived me, and I was trying to go against it. And it's like, nigga, I am that. Like, nigga, you are this nigga. So all the vocals are recorded. I should get like maybe like half of the songs like mixed a little bit. Maybe mixed all the way. I don't know. I'm gonna get some songs sent to me maybe next week Friday. Could talk about that. And then I got someone I'm going to send him to. I'm going to send my music to. I'm going to send the album to get it mastered. And it should be done by March, April. I'm not, as long as as soon as I get the audio done, then as soon as the audio's ready to go, then I'm going to, shoot a video or two. Definitely one. I mean, now there's a couple songs on there that I really like. I like all the songs, but there was one that I wanted for the single before. And like now there's this one that I previously wrote last month, and I really like that song a lot. So I probably want to do a video for that one too. So I'm going to get into, I know a few video guys. I'm going to hit my people up, and I'm going to really like do everything I can to give you guys a real like quality hip hop project. It's just my struggle has always been, just with this right here and what I'm trying to do, my struggle of trying to be taken seriously as an artist while simultaneously being taken seriously as a comedian, while also simultaneously being taken seriously as a podcaster and ultimately content creator. So it's like I'm trying to, do my best to blend it all together. And I like the way things sound right now. I know a lot of people are going to enjoy it with this project. I'm not sure if everything I've recorded is going to make the cut. There's one song here that I wrote like on the way to the studio. And I told my wife, I sang it, and she's just like, nah, I don't know. She doesn't want to be associated with it. And, the vibe I was getting from her was that she feels like I'm setting black people back about at least 200 years with this little skit, this little song that I wrote. And I was like, I think this is probably the best song I've ever written. So we'll see. I don't even know if it'll make the project. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. If it does, then it's a treat for you all. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a social media again before I get up out of here. If you want to follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram, it's at Babylon5Pod. If you want to follow my personal accounts, it's at my name's Jermaine. If you want, you can email the podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow this podcast. If you're listening this far, if you liked what you heard, go ahead and follow the podcast. It's Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to the podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, maybe tune in anywhere that podcast stream. If you want to play some Xbox with your boy, it's my gamer tag is SauceBoss414. If you want to check out the merch, buy some socks or a hoodie or something, it's hoodie weather, go to teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. And eventually I'm going to play some games with you, motherfuckers. And you can follow me on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Babylon5. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is episode 27. I think I'm going to call it the Bronze Dosa. The Bronze Dosa. I think that's what this episode is going to be called. Or my nickel Vegeta. No, probably Bronze Dosa, because I try to keep the names kind of cool or clean, if you will. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll see you guys next week. Should have my lovely, lovely wife with me next week for a little bit. Maybe the full episode. I don't know. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. We'll see if she's a good girl or not. But anywho, all right. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you next week. Peace.